You've seen her. Not often, because women like her don't appear every day. But once you do, you don't forget her. She walks into the room quietly. No dramatic entrance. No attention seeking. She's not younger than you. She's not richer than you. But somehow she moves like the world makes room for her. She doesn't rush. She doesn't overthink her steps. She simply arrives. And when she does, everything softens. Even the air feels different. There's something about her. It's not the clothes, though they fit her just right. It's not the hairstyle, though it's neat and it suits her face. It's not even the perfume, though that too says something quiet and lovely. It's something deeper. Something calm. Something earned. A kind of peace in her movements. A stillness in her gaze. A grace in her silence. She isn't competing with anyone. She's not trying to be 30 again. She's not trying at all. She orders her coffee, thanks the waiter with a soft smile, and sits like the chair was waiting just for her. No one taught her how to be this way. Not in a magazine. Not on a screen. She learned it slowly over years. From long mornings. From heartbreak. From knowing what it's like to be invisible. And deciding one day that she wouldn't live like that anymore. She learned to stop shrinking. She learned to care for herself, not to impress but to honor. She learned that elegance isn't something you wear. It's something you carry. Like a memory. Like a name. She knows who she is. And that knowing shows up in everything. In the way she crosses a room. The way she touches a wine glass. The way she listens. And here's the truth no one tells you when you're younger. This kind of elegance doesn't come in your 20s. It doesn't come from youth. It comes from living. From choosing. From letting go of what no longer fits in your closet or your life. It's not about being flawless. It's not about pretending nothing has changed. It's about loving who you've become and showing up in that skin fully. If you've ever looked at a woman like this and wondered, what does she know that I don't? This is where you find out. Because this kind of presence, this quiet, unshakable glow, comes from daily habits. Simple things. Intentional things. Not luxury in price, but in rhythm. Not performative. Not manufactured. Just real. And you don't need to become someone else to have it. You only need to return to yourself. In this story, I'll walk you through 10 habits. Not tips, not tricks, not trends. But real ways elegant women over 50 live their lives with grace, power, and softness. These are habits that shift how you move, how you speak, how you age, how you hold the room without ever needing to raise your voice. Because elegance is quiet. It's not something you announce. It's something you are. And it's never too late to begin. Here's the truth. You don't need more things. You don't need to chase trends or fill your closet with new clothes you'll only wear once. You don't need to lose 10 pounds. And you certainly don't need to become someone else. What truly sets elegant women apart, especially in the second half of life, is how they move through the world with intention. Not because they're trying to prove something, but because they've stopped trying to prove anything at all. Today you'll hear about 10 small habits. Not flashy ones. Not loud ones. Just quiet, steady practices that add up to something powerful. Habits that don't cost money. Habits that you can start today without needing to change your life. Just the way you live it. This is not about perfection. This is not about looking younger or dressing like your daughter. This is about choosing to show up in your own life. With care. With softness. With strength that doesn't need to shout. These habits are not rules. They are rituals. A way of living. They shape the way you speak, how you enter a room, how you rest your hand on the table, how you meet someone's eyes, and how you hold your own gaze in the mirror. And they aren't new. Women have been passing them quietly from generation to generation. Tucked into Sunday mornings, folded into linen napkins, whispered between dear friends. Elegance is not an aesthetic. It's a language. And if you've ever felt like you were fluent in it once but forgot, today is your remembering. Because at this stage in life, something shifts. You start craving less noise. You begin choosing what truly fits, not just on your body but in your days. You realize that the most beautiful moments are often the still ones. A warm scarf, a soft voice, a seat at a table you chose for yourself. You may have thought elegance belonged to someone else, someone younger, someone with a different life. But here's what I've learned and what you'll feel by the end of this video. Elegance was never about age. It was never about money. It was never about approval. It's about presence. And the most elegant women over 50, they didn't stumble into it. They made it a part of how they live. They chose it in quiet moments again and again. Today, I'll show you how. 10 timeless habits that require no purchase, no reinvention. Just a return to yourself. Because the most powerful thing a woman over 50 can wear is not a label. It's certainty. Before we begin the list, take a quiet moment with me. If you're the kind of woman who values subtlety over noise, grace over attention, you belong here. Tap that subscribe button if you haven't already. This space was made with you in mind. And stay with me until the final habit. It's the one elegant women often keep secret, yet it changes everything. Now close your eyes if you like. And picture this. A life that no longer rushes. No alarms blaring. No last-minute scrambling. You rise slowly. Not because you have nowhere to be, but because you've finally given yourself permission to arrive on your own terms. There's music playing somewhere faintly in the kitchen. The light is soft. You sip something warm in a cup that feels good in your hands. And the day doesn't pull at you. You meet it. You dress not to impress, but with care, with memory. You know which colors bring out the richness in your skin, which earrings feel just right against your neck. You wear perfume not to be noticed, but because the scent brings you home. Your shoes are clean. Your blouse is crisp. And yet nothing feels stiff. You're not performing. You're not disappearing behind fabric. You're choosing what represents you with intention. You walk down the street and people look, but not because you demand it. Because your presence holds something rare. Stillness in motion. Posture that speaks. Eyes that don't dart but rest. You speak less, but what you say lands. Because your voice doesn't try to fill the room. It fills the moment. There's laughter in your day, but never noise. There's space in your home, but nothing feels empty. There's movement in your schedule, but it never feels like chasing. Because you're not chasing. You're choosing. You're placing things where they belong, and leaving out what doesn't. You still have plans. You still dream. But now you do it from a place of calm, not craving. Because life no longer happens to you. It responds from you. And all around you, others begin to soften too. Because when a woman moves through her world with peace, she gives others permission to do the same. This is the elegant life. It's not out of reach. It's not reserved for a lucky few. It begins with something simple. A habit, a gesture, a choice. And that's where we go next. Let's begin with the first habit. Habit number 1, the pause before you speak. It's subtle, almost invisible, but it changes everything. The pause, just a breath, between what you feel and what you say. Not silence out of fear, not hesitation out of insecurity, but a chosen stillness, a space between reaction and response. This is where elegant women live. In that moment, just before words are released. They don't rush to fill the silence. They don't race to be heard. They choose their words the way they choose their accessories. With purpose. With refinement. With awareness. Because speech, when it's not hurried, becomes more than sound. It becomes presence. You've seen it before. At a dinner party, where one woman sits quietly through the noise, then speaks. And the table listens. Not because she's louder, but because her voice carries calm. She speaks as if nothing inside her is frantic. And in that calm, others find relief. This is elegance. And it doesn't come from vocabulary. It comes from self-trust. From the quiet knowing that you do not need to prove. That you are allowed to speak only when you're ready. And to say less but mean more. So how do you practice it? It starts small. Next time someone asks you something, pause. Even if it's only half a second. Let your mind settle before you respond. Let your words arrive rather than chase them. Practice in safe places first. At the cafe when ordering. At home when someone interrupts your quiet. In conversation with friends who love you. You'll start to notice. Your voice slows. Your heart softens. And your presence deepens. The world begins to mirror your energy. And over time, that pause becomes a part of your rhythm. A soft signature. The mark of a woman who has nothing to prove. Only something to share. Because grace in communication isn't about how much you say. It's about what your words carry. And what your silence protects. Habit number 2, the signature scent. Not just fragrance. Not a product in a bottle. But a memory in motion. A woman's scent is not meant to enter before she does. And it should never linger louder than her voice. But when chosen with care, a scent becomes her echo. Not everyone will notice it. But the ones who do. Remember, elegance at its core is about becoming unforgettable. Without trying to be seen. And a signature scent is one of the most delicate ways to do exactly that. Here's why it matters. Scent bypasses logic. It goes straight to memory. One breath can take someone back 10 years. To a passing hug. A silk scarf. A slow afternoon in late spring. Your scent becomes part of your presence. A gentle signal that you were here. And more importantly, it becomes a way for you to remember yourself. It doesn't have to be floral. It doesn't have to be expensive. But it does have to be yours. A scent that wraps around you like a private language. A scent that matches your mood or calms it. A scent that grows more beautiful as the hours pass. The way you do. So how do you find your signature? Begin by slowing down. Go alone. Don't choose what's trending or what others say is youthful. Find what feels like home. Spray it lightly on your wrist. Take a walk. Come back to it hours later. Not to see how it smells on your skin, but to notice how it made you feel. Do this more than once. Let your body and memory meet the scent before your wallet does. When you find one that lingers in your spirit, you'll know. Then use it sparingly. You're not decorating the air. You're sending a signal. To yourself first and to the world quietly after. Apply it where the body is warmest. The wrists. The collarbone. The bend of the knees. The back of the neck. These are not places of display. They are places of intimacy. And that is exactly the point. Because the elegant woman over 50 does not shout her story. She lets it whisper. Through her hands, her gaze, her stillness. And sometimes through the soft trace of jasmine. Or amber. Or something no one else can quite name. Habit number 3, posture as a silent language. She walks in, and without saying a word, you know everything. Not her resume, not her net worth, not her age, but her relationship with herself. Because posture tells the truth. It's the first language we speak before sound ever arrives. And for the elegant woman, posture is not performance. It's a quiet declaration. I am here. I am whole. I am not apologizing for either. Here's why this matters now more than ever. As we age, the world often sends us messages to shrink, to become smaller, quieter, more invisible. But true elegance does the opposite. It doesn't push. It doesn't demand. It simply rises. Shoulders back, not stiff, just open. Chin level, not proud, just soft. Hands still, not hidden, just relaxed. Feet planted with care. You don't need height to hold presence. You don't need youth to stand tall. You need only the decision to occupy your space with grace. Posture gives your body a memory, and every time you correct it, you're not just adjusting your frame. You're reminding yourself, I deserve to be seen even when I am silent. So how do you begin? Start in front of a mirror, but not with judgment. Stand naturally. Watch yourself with curiosity. Not, what do I look like? But, how do I hold myself when no one's watching? Then gently lift your spine, vertebra by vertebra. Let your shoulders roll back like you're placing them into their home. Drop your arms to your sides. Soften your jaw. Release your belly. And notice how your energy changes, not just how you look. Practice when no one's around. While you're brushing your teeth, reading the news, walking through the grocery store. These quiet repetitions become your signature, a language people read without realizing they've read it. Because posture isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It says, I am no longer trying to disappear from my own life. And that is breathtaking. Habit number 4, dressing for the mood you want. There's a moment before the world sees you, when it's just you, and the mirror, and the day ahead still untouched. And in that moment you ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? Not what should I wear, but what energy am I inviting in? Because elegant women don't dress for approval. They dress for alignment. They understand that clothing is not decoration. It's atmosphere. It sets the tone for how they move through the world and how the world moves around them. Here's why this habit is powerful. The fabric on your skin whispers something to you before anyone else gets close enough to hear it. A well-fitting coat doesn't just warm you, it reminds you that you are held. A crisp white shirt worn on a slow day brings clarity. Soft cotton on a stormy morning softens the mind. Every outfit sends a message. Not outward, but inward. Women of elegance don't reach for what's in. They reach for what fits the feeling they want to grow. Because elegance is not about being noticed. It's about being in tune. So how do you apply this? Step 1, slow down. Don't rush getting dressed like it's a task. Let it be a ritual. A moment of self-respect. Open your closet and ask, what color feels like calm today? What shape will help me stand taller? What texture will remind me to soften? You don't need an endless wardrobe. You need a thoughtful one. Choose garments that feel like you, not the version you're trying to project, but the one you're choosing to protect. Look for quality over clutter. Linen that breathes. Wool that holds. Silk that reminds you of softness. And when in doubt, wear what gives you quiet strength. The goal isn't perfection. It's resonance. Dressing becomes less about being looked at, and more about feeling at home in your own skin. Because when your clothing reflects your internal weather, you walk into the world as one seamless piece. And that is elegance. If this kind of quiet beauty resonates with you, you're in the right place. Take a second, not to rush, but to stay. Tap that subscribe button and let this space be a pause in your day. And stay with me, because the last habit we'll talk about today, it's the one that most elegant women never speak of but always practice. Habit number 5, understated accessories, overstated poise. You can always tell when something was chosen with intention. It's not the size of the stone, or the label stitched inside the bag. It's the quiet confidence in the way it's worn, as if it's been part of her story for years. That's the difference. The elegant woman doesn't collect. She curates. She doesn't wear accessories to be admired. She wears them to feel complete. Here's why this habit speaks volumes. In a world obsessed with more, she chooses less. But every piece she chooses means something. A scarf passed down. A gold ring with a scratch from somewhere unforgettable. A structured handbag that's outlasted 3 decades of trends. A pair of shoes that don't just match the outfit, they carry her through it. Her presence doesn't come from what she wears. It comes from the care behind what she keeps. Because poise doesn't shimmer like diamonds. It rests like breath. How do you bring this into your own life? Don't buy, select. Look through your accessories and ask, which of these still hold a place in my rhythm? Not which are expensive or which are fashionable, but which feel like home when I wear them. You don't need drawers of jewelry. You need a few pieces that know your skin, and shoes that know your pace, and a handbag that knows how to be quiet. Let your accessories whisper, not shout. Let them feel like punctuation, not a performance. And then let your poise carry the rest. Because here's the truth. A woman who feels grounded in herself doesn't need anything loud. She becomes the detail that others notice. Not her bracelet. Not her shoes. Her. Habit number 6, soft rituals that start the day. There's a kind of morning that doesn't shout. It doesn't jolt you awake or demand a to-do list. It invites you quietly back into yourself. And that is where elegance begins. Not with lipstick or heels, but with stillness, with breath, with softness. Because how a woman starts her morning shapes the weight of her entire day. Why this matters? The elegant woman does not stumble into her mornings. She enters them. She knows that beauty isn't built in a mirror. It's built in the moments no one sees. Before the inbox. Before the makeup. Before anyone calls her name. In the quiet, she rebuilds her rhythm. That's what soft rituals are. They're not routines. They're reminders. So how can you bring this into your life? Begin small. And begin alone. Wake before the noise, not hours before, just a moment before. Let your feet touch the floor with intention. Wrap yourself in a robe that feels like memory. Make tea not for energy but for comfort. Skincare not as performance but as kindness. Play music that doesn't rush. Write not to solve but to clear. These rituals don't have to be long. They have to be yours. Because in the silence of morning, you meet yourself first before the world does. And here's the quiet secret. Women over 50 who've raised children, built careers, buried pain, weathered seasons. They know how to hold space. These rituals aren't luxury. They are reclamation. A slow morning is not laziness. It is literacy of the soul. Habit number 7, saying no with grace. Elegance isn't just about what you wear, or how you speak, or even how you move. Sometimes, elegance is in what you withhold. There is strength in saying no, and there is beauty in how that no is spoken. A younger version of you may have said yes to keep the peace, to be liked, to feel needed, to prove you were good, agreeable, selfless, accommodating. But now, your peace is the proof. There's nothing more elegant than a woman who protects her energy. Not with coldness, but with calm. Not with bitterness, but with quiet knowing. Here's why this matters. As we grow older, our time becomes more sacred. Not because we fear running out of it, but because we've learned how much of it we gave away. To guilt, to noise, to people who only showed up with empty hands and heavy expectations. The elegant woman doesn't explain her no. She simply offers it with kindness and stands by it like a promise. Here's how to bring this into your daily rhythm. Pause before responding. When asked, can you? Breathe. Ask yourself, does this nourish me or deplete me? Am I choosing from love or from fear of disapproval? And if the answer is no, say it softly. Say it clearly. Say it without guilt. You don't owe anyone your energy, only your truth. Let your boundaries be clear but never cruel. Let your space be yours and yours alone. Because this is what makes it elegant. It's not the no itself, it's the peace that follows. Before we go further, I want to ask you something. When was the last time you felt seen, not for what you do or wear, but for the way you carry yourself? If this kind of space, quiet, intentional, thoughtful, feels like a home for you, I invite you to stay. Subscribe and join this gentle circle of women who value presence over noise. And if you've already been listening, you know, the most powerful habits are still to come. Habit number 8, eye contact and half smiles. There's a kind of presence that speaks without noise. It's not loud. It doesn't push. It doesn't fill space just to avoid silence. It watches. It sees. And when it's ready, it smiles just enough. A half smile. A meeting of the eyes. That's all. Why this matters? You don't need to perform to be seen. You don't need to overlaugh, over-explain, overshare. The elegant woman knows the most powerful thing in the room is stillness with eyes wide open. In your 50s and beyond, confidence becomes quieter. Not because it shrinks, but because it knows. You've already been the woman who doubted herself, who tried too hard, who second-guessed her way through every conversation. Now you simply meet the moment. You look at someone and you don't flinch. You smile just enough to say, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be real. That's the kind of grace people remember. It's not charm, it's clarity. How to begin this practice? Next time you're in a room, pause. Let your eyes settle. No darting, no scanning, just presence. When someone speaks, give them the dignity of your eyes. When you pass someone in the street or at a cafe, don't perform a grin. Just a gentle lift at the corner of your mouth, an acknowledgement, not a performance. And when you look in the mirror, practice meeting your own eyes. Not with critique, but with compassion. That's where elegance starts. Not in being seen, but in seeing. Habit number 9, cleanliness is class. You don't need diamonds to look expensive. But clean nails, a crisp blouse, a fresh breath and a soft scent, that is what people remember. Because elegance, real elegance, whispers. And one of its oldest languages is care. Why this matters? There is something sacred about looking after the things that touch your body. Your hands, your hair, the fabric you wear. Not out of vanity, but out of respect. For yourself, for your space, and for the quiet message you leave behind. On a chair, on a doorknob, in someone's memory. A woman over 50 doesn't need glitter to glow. She needs clean, well-loved things. A neat color. A scarf that smells like lavender. Breath that tastes like mint leaves and tea. A presence that says, I didn't rush to be here. I arrived with care. How to begin this practice? Start with the basics, not as chores but as rituals. Keep your nails short, simple, and healthy. A sheer gloss or bare nail with softened cuticles says more than 10 rings ever could. Attend to your breath like you would a garden. Stay hydrated, keep mints, drink herbal teas. Handle your clothing like it's worth something, even if it isn't expensive. Fold it, steam it, let it breathe. Brush your hair slowly. Tie it back gently. Let it shine even in gray. You don't need a new outfit. You need to fall in love with clean again. Clean not as sterile but as sacred. Because when the world feels noisy, messy, chaotic, a woman who's polished, simple, and serene becomes unforgettable. Habit number 10. Walking into a room and not shrinking. There's a moment when the door opens. A hush, a glance, a shift in the room. It's not about the dress you're wearing or the heels. It's the way you enter as though you belong. Because you do. Why this matters? Women are taught, even still, to take up less space with time. To speak less. Move less. Want less. But elegance has nothing to do with shrinking. In fact, it's the opposite. True elegance is presence. It's standing tall in your history. It's not lowering your voice, it's softening it with purpose. Not hiding your lines, but letting them speak. At 50, 60, 70, you don't arrive to impress. You arrive as yourself, fully, wholly, unapologetically. How to begin this practice? Next time you walk into a room, try this. Straighten your spine, not stiff but awake. Lead with your breath, slow, grounded. Make eye contact with curiosity, not performance. Say little and mean what you do say. Let silence be your companion. It speaks volumes when used with care. You don't need to be the center of attention. You need to be the center of yourself. The moment you walk in, don't rush to shrink. Be seen. Because hiding at this stage in life is too expensive. You've earned your place every step of it. Elegance isn't something you put on in the morning. It's not found in a bottle, a label, or a mirror. It's something you carry. In the way you rise. The way you say no. The way you choose silence over noise, kindness over chaos, and stillness over speed. At this stage in life, you don't need to prove anything. You've already lived chapters most people are just starting to read. You've earned every silver strand, every smile line, every quiet strength. Elegance now is not about becoming someone. It's about returning to yourself, the you that was always there beneath the noise. These 10 habits aren't rules. They're reminders. To walk slower. To speak softer. To love deeper. To rise taller. You don't owe anyone youth. What you carry now is better. So, which habit spoke to you most? The pause before you speak? The way your scent lingers long after you've left the room? Or maybe it was the quiet confidence of walking in and not shrinking? Let us know in the comments below. We read every word. And remember, grace isn't lost with time. It grows. Like you. If this felt like more than a video, if it felt like a mirror, a reminder, a quiet return to something you thought you'd lost, then you're in the right place. This is not just a channel. It's a space for women who've grown through the seasons and are ready to own the one they're in now. Here, we honor the pause. We notice the details. We speak softly, but we speak truth. We wear time like a jewel, not something to cover, but something to shine. So if that sounds like you, if you felt seen, heard, or simply calmed by these words, you are already part of this circle. Subscribe if you haven't already. There's more to come, and you won't want to miss it. And if any of these habits stirred something inside you, leave a note in the comments. We read every word. This is not an audience. This is a community of women who elevate each other. May you carry today's grace into tomorrow's morning. And may the world feel the difference. We'll see you next time.